Welcome to Main Street Mavericks, celebrating conversations with exceptional Main Street businesses who serve friends and neighbors in your community. Here's your host, Joel Helfer.
Welcome. This is Joel Helfer from Main Street Mavericks Radio, and welcome to another episode of our show. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Adena Bannick. She is a certified psychic medium, an angel practitioner, and a Reiki master. Adena can communicate with anyone on all levels here on Earth or our loved ones who have passed away, and on the angel realm during readings. Those we love and those who love us will often come in during a reading to give us messages. This is a fascinating topic, and I'm really happy to welcome Adena to the show. Hi, Adena. How are you today?
Thank you. Hi, Joel. I'm doing well. Almost the break. We're coming up to that nice little break, and I'm feeling fine. I'm very happy that you asked me on your show today.
Oh, thank you very much. The first thing that people are probably very interested in is, how did this happen? How did you get started becoming a psychic and helping other people?
Well, no one grows up and says, I'm going to be a psychic. You know, that's nothing. I never really thought of it. As a young child, though, I knew that I had abilities, and I spoke to angels. And then when I was about 9, I remember laying in bed, and I had disembodied faces. They didn't have bodies, they just had faces, and all of them would call out my name. But they all did it in different tones, inflections. Someone would say, Adena. Someone else would say, Adena. You know, things like that. And it terrified me. I didn't realize they were dead. I didn't know. So I would ask my angels, and it took me about 3 weeks before they were gone. But they left, and I said, I never, ever want to see them again. And I went out through my life, and psychic experiences would happen to me, but I accepted them as normal by then. Many really, really unusual things that I didn't know anybody had. And growing up, I grew up in an age where this was not spoken about. There was really nothing to read about it until I had my son. And, you know, they say necessity is the mother of invention. And that's exactly how it started for me. My son was born. I had worked in nonprofit for many years. And you don't really make a lot of money in nonprofit, and I definitely had to earn money, and I was thinking, what can I do? And when I looked around at what my field was offering, it would have turned out to be exactly enough to pay daycare. And I thought to myself, oh no, I didn't wait to the age I was to put him in daycare. And I thought, what can I do from home? What? And by accident, I was looking on the web. Now, remember, this is quite a while ago. And I was looking on the web at psychic readings and things like that. And I happened to see a site that was amazing. It was exemplary. And I knew it was because of, you know, you just know those things. And I wanted to get a reading from there. I never expected to work there, but I couldn't afford it. So I just went, and I decided, someone had suggested to me that I start to hone my talents. And I laughed, but I did it. And I did it for 2 years. And I practiced and I practiced. And one day I went on that wonderful site, and I applied. And I was accepted, and I was accepted as another on the same site with another skill. So that opened it up even more. And within the first month, I was one of the top 3 psychics.
Wow. I know a lot of people are kind of skeptical I don't want to, embarrass
okay.
you, say something out of turn, but a lot of people are kind of skeptical about the whole subject. How do you get clients, and how do you grow your business? How do you convince people you can really do what you do?
I have to tell you the truth. I don't deal with skeptical people. Not that I wouldn't, but it's never really happened, because in the beginning, the clients came to that site. If you're coming to that site, you already believe in it. So that's number one. Then when I transferred to another site for about a year, they too believed in it. Then when I went out on my own, and we're going back now 16 years, it was word of mouth. So people already believed in it. So by this time, I had already established a name, and in the psychic field, there were not many psychics. There were not many different, mediums, no pun intended, or genres in this field. So I had a very thriving business. And so I never had people call me and say, hey, show me. I did have clients, however, who would be a little bit, because they had gone to other psychics, and they would say, I could hear it in their voice, they would be, well, why are you any different? And then I would, depending on who it was, I would either step up my game, or I would say, look, this is a reading, not a competition, and I can hear it in your voice, and you're not going to get what you need if you do that. So it just wasn't really an issue for me.
Well, it's funny because things have happened in my life that are either so beneficial or so out of the blue that my oldest son, he said, Dad, you've got an angel on your shoulder. So
well,
this is an interesting topic to me, because I always wondered if he was telling me the truth or not.
He is. It wasn't, and also because I believed in growing for my clients, not just using my innate talents and abilities, which I do not believe I just have. I believe they're given to me. I believe they're given to all of us. Some of us are just more aware of them. So I also did 3 courses with Charles Virtue. No, it was 4 courses with Charles Virtue, who is Doreen Virtue's son. Doreen Virtue is the angel lady, and she's cornered the market on angel communication, and her son is wonderful, and he does his own course, and it's registered, and I became a certified advanced angel practitioner and a certified medium.
What is an angel practitioner? What does that mean?
An angel practitioner is something that I did very naturally many, many years ago. I spoke to angels, I heard what they said, and that was communicating with them. Today, when he gave that course, you have to take at least a certain class in mediumship. You have to be psychic. You have to prove that you are psychic with a person sitting in front of you. You can't use any tools when you do it. You have to go to the angelic realm. You have to know all of the angels. You have to know what they do. You have to be able to sit and read people using angelic realm. So it's very, very, intense. And then I took my advanced angel practitioner course with him, which is just heightened. And then I took my medium certificate course with him. And then I took a workshop with James Van Praagh, who's a pretty famous medium.
Let me ask you, in the entertainment field, like in Hollywood, from time to time they make movies where they include angels in the movie. One I can think of at the top of my head is a sports movie, Angels in the Outfield. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but does it work like that?
But I can tell you about all the TV shows and all the... And it really depends on who you are, how your abilities come to you. that it plays a big part in it. It's not like TV, though, or the movies, no. I can tell you for me, when I'm doing an angel reading, angels don't come like that. People who have passed on absolutely do. When people pass on, they are much more alive than we are. I don't know how to explain that to you. They will come to me and show themselves to me, usually first as my client knew them. Then they'll show me what they really look like, and that is how they look like in their last life, in their 30s maybe, or their 40s, because that's, I guess, when they felt the best. And they will give me, sometimes some of them will convey what they want to say in a kind of like movie. Some of them give me one word, and in that one word are 3 different messages. It's fascinating. It's unbelievable. Mediumship readings are my all-time favorite things to do.
And how do you actually help people with all of your talents and skills? What do you actually do for them?
Okay. Many people come to me for many different reasons. I have people who come to me for career. I've had clients going on 10, 11, 12, 13 years where I've been able to tell them which deals to make, which people are going to give them issues possibly, and how to circumvent that. People have come to me for their love relationships, where I'm able to give them a broader view and tell them what somebody else may be thinking and feeling, so that they can say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that, and possibly change their point of view. People come to me to see someone who's passed over because they're feeling guilty or they're feeling horrible about something. And I have never had a mediumship reading where somebody's loved one didn't come through and say, I love you, I get it, and I'm sorry. So, and it's forgiveness. How can that not help? They also give them very, very, very detailed information, so they know it's not just me saying, oh, they forgive you. I give them what they look like, what they thought, I will often make the person who's passed over tell me something that my client has just done, or where they're standing, or what they're doing, just so my client knows that's really them.
So you mean...
Wait, I have to tell you the worst thing.
Okay.
The worst thing is that I'm clairsentient, which means I feel things, and every single time people's loved ones come into me and make me feel their death. That's just me. And and I'll say, oh my God, my head is crushed, or I had an aneurysm, and my client will say, oh my God, yes, she did. And that's how they know.
Well, my grandmother always used to say that in order to keep people alive, if you mention their name, they're alive in your heart. But you're taking this to a whole other level. Well, the one big question is there life after death? And based on what you're telling me, you're saying that there is.
There most certainly is. I myself died and was brought back.
Oh, tell me about that. What happened?
Oh, okay. Oh, boy. Okay, I guess I'm going to have to.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I will. I will.
Else.
Because I am because I'm honest. Before I do that, I have to tell you something. When I was 16, I was sitting up and writing in my journal. And the next thing I knew, I was in the darkest, just dark, but it was a dark that was alive. And there was no past and there was no future. Now, I was 16 years old, and again, this is going back to no information about anything. And everything was now. That's the only way I know how to explain it. And this beautiful man came walking to me. And when he did, we started to communicate, not with words, but with feelings and pictures. And I started to cry because I loved him so much. And we just communicated. And he started to show me a series of kind of like trailers of my life. And one of the trailers were of me lying in a hospital bed. And somehow I was ashamed. And I looked at him and I cried and I said, never, never, never. And he looked at me with such compassion and he conveyed that yes, it would happen and yes, it was okay. But he made it clear that that didn't have to happen if immediately following this encounter I did this instead of this. And I said, I will. And he said, he just like kind of the sweetest way shook his head and just smiled. Then he showed me much, much later in my life, and I started to try to remember it. And he said, don't bother, you won't. And I cried and I said, when are you coming back for me? And he said, when this happens. And he said, don't bother, you won't remember it. The next thing I know, I'm sitting back up in my bed, writing in my journal, and I was amazed and shocked. Now I'm 23, and I'm in a very bad place in my life, and I'm doing things that are not very good. And I feel like I have just ruined my life. I have no options. I have no way out. And I have been talking for suicide for a year. This feels like 7 lifetimes ago, I want you to know. And I decided to take my own life. I wrote a note, and I was wearing something I wanted to wear. I was holding all of my good luck charms. I put a song on that I wanted, and I took between 60 and 80 pills.
Right.
And these particular pills can't be, what's the word when they pump it out of your, they can't pump it out of your stomach. They go straight to the brain. And my sister was not supposed to come home that night. She was sleeping out. And she was in her car with her boyfriend at the time, and she screamed, get me home. It's my sister. Get me home. And she did. She walked in the door, and I was on the floor. And her and my mother called 911, and the operator, it had been pouring that night, and the operator had said that all the paramedics were on this emergency. They had none to send to me. And my mother said, do you have children? And she said, yes. And my mother said, well, mine is not breathing. And this woman said, all right, I'll send you someone, but this better be important. So the emergency, the lead paramedic walked in, and he said, my fiance died of a suicide. I won't let her die. And apparently I was in such a deep coma because I didn't respond to any pain stimulus at all. And the doctor at the hospital said that I wouldn't live, definitely. And if I did live, I was going to be severely brain damaged. And all the nurses on the floor asked my mother and sister if they wanted to go to church and pray. And as they came back, I started to wake up. So we don't die. And I don't mean that. I mean, when I did that, my pre-near-death experience and my near-death experience proved that to me.
You know, I just had a little off the subject, a good friend of mine who I literally know for 50 years. And of all things, he was a funeral director. And a couple months ago, out of the clear blue sky, he committed suicide. And he had some health challenges, but to this day, nobody could figure out how that could happen. Is it possible that what he did for a living had any effect on his ultimate decision to end his life because he was working with people.
If you're interested, Joel, I could find out right now. Or we can do that privately. We can do that privately.
I'd rather do that privately than the
Okay, we'll do that privately, but
isn't that a weird story?
It's strange, and I think that it could, absolutely. If you're watching people die day by day, and all you see is a dead body and nothing else, it could give you the feeling that this life means nothing, and then we die. Don't you think?
I don't know what to think, but it was a real sad story.
It is. I think that if I were a funeral director or something along those lines, and all I saw, especially because I've had friends that die, and I'm going to say one more thing. My youngest sister died. And when she did, my mother died as well. I watched their body, as soon as they died, they didn't look like them anymore. Their soul was gone. They looked like an empty vessel. And I think if you're doing that day by day, you can come to believe that the world means nothing.
Well,
and I could understand that.
Hopefully not. One of the things, and the reason we're having this discussion is because I work with all types of businessmen, is how can businessmen take advantage of your skills in order to do a little bit better with their business or understand their customers and what they're really thinking and feeling rather than what they're telling them. We were talking about inner talk and what people really think versus what they say. I'm curious about this whole subject. Let me tell you how
it's helped me. I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm just so eager because, we all get mixed messages from people. And we know we're getting mixed messages, but we often don't know what's the real message. So when I read someone, I will get what they're really thinking and they're really feeling. And that's my biggest, I think, ability sometimes, because I know people and I read people. And so many times in my business and career readings, I've been able to say, hey, wait, if you do that, your boss is going to do this. If you do that, your boss is going to do this. And I was able to, I had a client write me years ago, and she just said, I wouldn't have had a career if not for you. And it's just that it's not easy for all of us to do that. I also, by the way, teach people how to do it yourself. And I don't mean how to become a psychic, but we all have ability. And I have to say this. Before there was anything, radio, TV, email, mail, anything, how did we get information? We used telepathy. That was our God-given gift. And we did very well with it. We would communicate with different tribes and say, hey, a storm is coming. Hey, there's some bison up ahead. How did we do that? We didn't write letters. We communicated telepathically. So we didn't lose that. That's in here. But it took decades and hundreds of years to learn how to make it dormant. That's what science did. Science did great things, but science also did that, and we've become rational. So over the many, many, many years, society has said, we don't use that. We don't believe in that. We believe in science. So everybody being born kind of just goes along with it. And every once in a while, one of us pop up and we say, hey, I can do it. So what I teach people to do is to sit back, center themselves, close their eyes for a second, and learn how to get the real meaning behind what people say. And it's very easy. Why? Because it's already in you.
Well, what makes it even more challenging today is our world is becoming and our communication is becoming more and more impersonal, where in the past you always had to meet someone either face-to-face or on the telephone, which is my favorite way. But now with email and the whole idea of digital communication, you can see pictures of people, you can read what they're saying, but how do you can't get a sense of them
That's
anymore.
The worst. I can't tell you how many people mess up relationships because they only communicate via email or, online or, you can't. There's no inflection. There's no smile when you say it. There's no frown when you say it. It's nothing.
I know.
Words don't mean anything if they're not accompanied by energy.
Well, it's helped a little bit now that people are presenting themselves either on video or this Facebook Live. You're starting to get to see them talking again, so that's helping.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet.
But it just isn't the same. And one of the things that really strikes me out that just happened the other day is what I call women's intuition.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you why there is that.
And there's something to that because one of them, either my wives or my daughter or the people I work with who are women who tell me to do something, and they just seem to know, and lately I just go with it. I don't know how they know, but they know.
I'll tell you how they know. They've allowed themselves to know. Men have been taught, we are the rational ones, we are the logical ones, we don't go there. Women do. That's women stuff. If men started all of a sudden within this generation realizing, hey, wait a minute, I have that talent, I have that ability, the next two generations would show that they would have men's intuition. Period. End of story. That's how easy it is. There is no question that women are more psychic. Women are not more psychic, than men. No way, no way. It's just that we have just like women are allowed to cry, they're allowed to get angry, they're allowed to be emotional. That's it. Men are not. They don't allow themselves to do that. If they allowed themselves to do that, they would be walking around and having tons of intuitive feelings. That's all it is.
So what do you actually do? Tell me a brief story of how you helped someone recently in their business, whatever that may be.
Okay. Oh, my God, I've done so many years of this.
Just pick one out.
Can I do a synopsis of years?
Sure.
Okay. One of my biggest clients was, I don't know if that's identifiable. But, okay, let's say one of my biggest clients ran a chain of stores.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to, she would call and ask, is this deal going to go through? Certain properties, that she would want to buy. Is this deal going to go through or is that deal going to go through? And I would say, this deal is not going to go through because the wife doesn't want to move, and I would go into more personal stuff, and the husband will do what the wife says. She would stop putting effort into that particular property, and I would move her toward one that she was not even going to think of because she thought that she wouldn't get it. I would also, with this particular person, let's see. When she needed to ask for an amount on something she was selling or asking a price for, I would get the amount she would get. So she would be able to ask the right price. She wouldn't go super high and she wouldn't go super low. So I would come within very, very small degrees of what she actually got. And that helped tremendous amount.
Yeah, that would be fascinating. If you could know in advance what the right price is to charge.
Right. And I also was able to tell her within her offices who was doing what. Offices are a hotbed of gossip and all sorts of things. And there's usually one or two people stirring everybody up. I could tell her who it was. So there were so many things.
Office politics.
And I'm just not going into details about everything, but they were amazing and shocking, and you'd be surprised at what can come up.
Do you do all of your work over the phone, or do you just some of it in person?
I don't. I'll tell you why. When I first started doing this, and I gave it a try twice. When I first started doing this, I did it over the phone, and I started in person. When I did it over the phone, and I spoke to someone, and I said, you know, is this going on in your life right now over the phone? And they would say, yeah, it is. When I did it in person, and I said, you know, I'm seeing a situation that looks like this, they said, oh, no, absolutely not. I would never do that. Never. And it would be as clear as day. And I'd say, look, I'm not judging. I'm just doing a reading. It's okay. And they would look me in the eye and say, oh, no. That's something I could never, ever do. And at that point, I felt as if I should say, I can't do this reading because I can't go any further unless we deal with this. But I would go on with the reading, and they'd be very happy because I didn't address what was really going on. And I tried that twice. 3 times, 4 times. The second 2 times were within a group of people. It was individual, but there were a group of people. And people tend to get so distracted by what you look like, the way your hands move, the jewelry you're wearing, your hair. And also, they cannot admit to anything in person. And I can't work that way.
So in other words, you're telling me people are more honest over the telephone?
Absolutely, 100%. On the phone, they are just normal and say, yeah, I did, and that's fine. But when it's in person, even if I'll never see them again, and I don't know anybody they know, they just won't say it. I don't know why.
Well,
I really don't. I think they just think they can't say it.
Well, I find when I talk to people on the telephone, and a big part of what I do and a lot of other people who are listening to this use the phone to make offers to try to make business deals with people, and that it seems like rather than people just saying, no, thank you, this isn't for me, I'm not interested, rather than do that, they have to tell you these really sometimes funny and wild stories of why they can't do it right now because they just don't want to either hurt your feelings or they just don't want to tell you the truth.
You want to know? I do that.
How do you get around those situations?
I actually do that to people. I will tell them everything that's going on in my life, but it's true. It's all true, so I don't hurt their feelings. If you're on the phone, and this is part of what I want to teach. Before you make that phone call, I would have taught you to sit back, get very calm, separate your feelings from what you have to do. Know exactly what emotion you're feeling. And then I want you to reach gently out to the caller. No, to the callee. You will get, honest, I swear, but I have to teach you to do this, a distinctive yes or no. And that will teach you how to make that phone call.
In other words, you're saying telepathically you'll be able to tell what the person is going to tell you before you pick up the phone and
Exactly.
ask.
And then you're going to be able to find the way to either have to talk them into it or just be a very easy sell.
Well, in my experience, at least today, times have changed, but today I either find two groups of people. Either they get it and they like to participate in whatever you're offering, or they don't. And the ones that don't, you just can't convince them. We could have the best arguments in the world, and they just, once they make up their mind, they're not doing it.
I don't know. I don't sell myself, but I will tell you this. I have started out as the biggest no on earth. And about an hour later, I'm yesing. So I don't know. I mean, people can get me. They really can. I have like this soft heart, and I'm very reasonable. So if they start throwing reasonable things at me, I might.
Because I know it's hard sometimes to bring out people's true feelings. And lots
You know what the difference is?
What?
You have to be true. When you come at a person with real, with genuine, with openness, that person knows you're doing it. Underneath all of our real communication of words and letters, and we really do, on an unconscious level, know what the other person feels. We're not aware of it. We couldn't get it if we wanted to. But somewhere in our subconscious, we know. And when people feel someone's being genuine, they react the same way.
Well, I know in business what has made us successful is first to get to know the person and their family and their kids and their hobbies, and get to know them well before we even talk about business. And then once we do that and we become pretty much friends, and then when we go see them or talk to them on the phone, we're just talking like friends. And even though there's a business basis behind it, that's the last issue that comes up. And when you get to that level of relationship, business becomes superfluous, and then it's not a matter of whether or not they want to do business with you. It's just a matter of what they need and how much.
And that's genuine for you, right?
It is.
You genuinely feel like they're friends, right?
And we've spent over the years a lot of time and effort and money getting to that point where, we're just not going there to take advantage of someone or to sell our products and leave.
Right, and they know that, and they respond in kind, and that's what I'm saying.
And that seems to me to be the best way that we've ever found in a business. Like, there are times when I used to go see someone or talk to someone, we go in and we were like a breath of fresh air because we knew them so well that we're talking about everything under the sun. And then after 20 or 30 minutes, my customer would say to me, "What'd you come in here for anyway?"
You want
and
to
I would
know
go,
something?
"Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
And then I'd give him my proposal or present my bid or whatever, and he'd look it over for 5 minutes and he'd make a few changes, but I'd always get the order.
Because you did it genuinely. And one of the biggest things that I want to say about business is that you never, ever judge what the trends are. In other words, if everybody in your business is saying it's dead, we're not doing any selling, it's whatever, ignore it. And I'm going to tell you why. We all travel on different energy waves. They might be dead, but you will not be, because you're positive, because you believe in you, because you make your clients happy. I've seen it in my own life over and over again. I used to be on a site, and everyone around me was just dead. They weren't working. They weren't getting phone calls. Me, I got them one right after the other because I ignored it. I ignored the trend. You make your own.
Well, there's a big issue that you're talking about, and the way they talk about it today is that you have to get people to first know you, then like you, and then trust you before they'll actually do business with you. And how do your services,
they didn't know me.
You do make that
they
possible?
Didn't know me. These were people who were calling for the first time. They didn't know me. They had no idea who I was. They were just calling. And that doesn't have to be true. All I'm saying is this. If you're in a business and your competitors are slow, and so you're thinking, oh, we're going to be slow too, don't do that. If you put out, let me explain this better. The universe is like railroad tracks, where it's all energy waves. If you get on a high enough vibrational energy wave, as well as a more positive, kinder, and it's really true, and you believe it, you are going to attract people to that energy. If someone else is in your business and they're saying, oh, it's dead. Oh, God, I don't have any money. I can't pay the mortgage. I don't know what to do about my wife. She wants this ring. You are going to get on a track that's much, much lower, and you're not going to get anything. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm trying to say. So above all, keep your energy high. How do you do that? Any way that you can do things to make you feel good. That's how you stay that way. Oh, and be in denial. That's another one I've learned. In this case, you said this the other day, Joe, which is really funny. Fake it till you make it.
Right.
Make believe you're already there. Just tell yourself, oh, wow, I just got this order. I just got this. I just got this. In 2, 3, 4 days, you will be. That's how it works.
Well, one thing that I've learned in the last year or two is when I communicate with people, like there's a platform called LinkedIn, which is an easy way of communicating with people. That's actually how you and I met, how we're having this conversation today. My initial message would be, I tell them my name. I said, hi, I'm Joel Helfer. I'm from Windermere, Florida. It's sunny outside. Have a nice day. That's my entire message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sent these messages out, and people said, why are you sending that message out? That's crazy. Well, within a short period of time, usually the same day, I would get messages back. Hi, my name is Patricia. I'm from Pittsburgh, and it's 40 degrees, and it's raining, and it's not so cold. I hope your day is better than mine. And I would get these genuine communications back talking about the weather.
Right, but that doesn't necessarily lead to a sale. People just want to make a friend.
Because then I'd send them a second message now that I'd opened the door, and I'd give them a little bit about what I do. And I said, if you're interested, schedule a telephone call with me. And in combination of these two simple messages, I'd get anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 scheduled telephone calls every single week.
Well, you did it to me. And I'm talking to you.
I know, and this is pretty much what you're talking about, where you're just trying to be genuine and real without really trying to sell anybody anything.
But it's a difference. It's not. Yes, you know what you did, and I have to say this. What I did was step number 1. You did step number 2. First, you think it, then you feel it, then you make a step to do it.
Right.
Perfect.
And
that's how you manifest. And
that seems to be a good, simple approach for all businesses, particularly on the Internet. Because another thing, I'm not on a soapbox or patting myself on the back, but when I make genuine observations about liking something or not liking something or how I feel about something, and I post that as opposed to the old shameless buy my stuff, the genuine observations get a lot more comments and interest than when you put on there buy my stuff, which everybody hears all day long and nobody wants to be part of.
What observations are you talking about? Can you give us a hint?
Yeah, like this particular radio show called Main Street Mavericks was helped set up for me by a group of people, and they did a really nice job of setting it up and promoting it and make it easy for me to not only talk to people on the phone, but help them get attention and publicity. So I just paid a simple compliment in this group to the people who set this all up. And I just told him, I just have to give you an observation that what you set up for me to make it possible to me to interview people and help them get attention and publicity is really working well, better than I ever thought. And everybody likes it, and I just wanted to thank you. That was all I said.
That's very nice. And you're both getting, you're both being recognized. It's very nice.
Yeah, and I got no end of nice comments. And,
very nice.
As opposed to when you say like, hi, here's my name and here's what I do, and I need 5 people by the next 3 days in order to do this, and send me a private message and all that jazz. You don't get any response at all.
Right.
Because what I'm
That's exactly what I do, only differently. It's just a different approach.
That's what I'm trying to figure out is how do we use a little bit of your skills in order to communicate better with people, because the whole world is based on relationships, and the better relationships you can create with people, the more business you can do for them with them.
It doesn't hurt for people who are in business, be they female or male, to just learn a little bit about all those gifts that we have inherently. That's all. And bring them out. And it's not that difficult. There are many books out on that. There are tapes, CDs, sorry. That's how old I am. I should have said, 45s.
That's okay.
There are so many things you can do that you don't have to invest money in, that just will give you a little understanding. And then, I'm always open for questions, and I'll answer you. You can definitely write me at askadena at gmail.com. But these are things that will only help to serve you and anyone you're talking to, because they'll feel understood.
What I'm getting out of this conversation is that a positive mental attitude is very important in anything and everything you do. Would you say that's true?
Who would believe it? Norman Vincent Peale was correct.
And I remember when I was a kid, there was another guy named W. Clement Stone. And he wrote this book called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And I read this book when I was maybe like 14 or 15 years old. And at the time, this multi-billionaire was building an insurance company in Chicago, and he wrote this book, and my dad gave it to me. He said, read this book, it'll help you. And I read the book, and I found out where the guy was in Chicago, and I called up his office, and I asked for his secretary, and I says, I'd like to talk to Mr. W. Clement Stone, not realizing what a big, powerful, important man he was. So she says, who are you? And I says, I'm just a kid. And I read his book, and I just wanted to tell him I liked it. It's a conversation. So he gets on the telephone, and he says, hi, this is W. Clement Stone. He says, is this Joel Helfer? He says, yeah. He says, how old are you? And I says, I'm 14 years old. He says, what are you? And I said, I'm in I think at the time I was in 7th grade. He says, what can I do for you? And I said, I just read your book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. I just want to thank you because I like the book. This guy starts laughing, right? Mm-hmm. He says, oh, you did, huh? And what did you get up? And so we're having this 10-minute conversation on his book, right? And he says, give me your address. And I give my address, and then about a week later comes a package in the mail. He wrote 6 or 7 books with a note. Here's all of my books. Enjoy them. If you like the first one, you're going to like these too. And believe it or not, I've used his philosophies and a guy called Napoleon Hill throughout my whole life, and it's been very beneficial, which is more formalized training about the subject you're talking about. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just thought of something as you were speaking. One of the things I've noticed is this. We give up on ourselves too quickly. When he said training, I realized that I will do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, and then all of a sudden something happens and I go back to my old ways. And then that's when things start falling apart. It's something you really have to learn as a habit, as a good habit. to keep it up.
Let me ask you a question. If people want to get in touch with you, Adena, what is the best way? I know you mentioned a little bit about how they get in touch with you, but what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Really, the best way is by email, because I don't always see that there's a message on my phone. So you can either write me at askadena, ASKADENA, at gmail.com or at AOL.com, or you can go to my site, askadena.com. There's a form there. You can fill it out, and I get it immediately. You can write that out. You can also join me on my show, and my show is called Growing Up Indigo with Adena Bannick, and it's on BBS Radio. So it's, the HTTP, forget that, I don't know. So, but it's bbsradio.com//Growing Up Indigo. And we are on every other Thursday for now at 9 a.m. PT and 12 p.m. noon on ET. There are a million ways to listen in. There are apps, there are phones, oh my God, I can't believe there are so many ways to listen in. And you can call in live for a free reading, and it's not scary. It's really easy, and it's a lot of fun. And you can call in on 888-627-6008. If you want me to read your free reading, please write it at askadena@AOL.com, and I will change all personal information, but I'll say the reading on air. So I think that's it. Oh, and Facebook. Sorry about that. I have a fan page, and you can contact me there, and that would be, let me get that. It is www.facebook.com.adenahome. So I think that's it.
Thank you very much, Adena. I really appreciate you taking the time today to be on the Main Street Mavericks radio show. And I think we've given people quite a bit to think about. So I wish you well, and I wish you a happy holiday and a happy
Thank you, Joe.
And a healthy New Year.
Same to you. This really was the most interesting interview I've ever been on, really. And I have been interviewed.
Thank you very much. And we want everybody listening to this show to have a happy and a healthy holiday.
Yes.
And this is Joel Helfer. Until next time, like I always say, have a little fun every day and don't save it up.
You've been listening to Main Street Mavericks Radio with Joel Helfer. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit mainstreetmavericks.com.